1. What is the central theme of the book of Deuteronomy? A. Love and obedience to God. B. Military conquests. C. Wisdom and knowledge. D. Prophecy of the Messiah. Right answer is A. Love and obedience to God. The central theme of the book of Deuteronomy is love and obedience to God. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. 2. According to the 10 Commandments in Deuteronomy, what is the Sabbath day meant for? A. Rest and worship. B. Commerce and trade. C. Agricultural labor. D. Celebration of festivals. Right answer is A. Rest and worship. According to the 10 Commandments in Deuteronomy, the Sabbath day is meant for rest and worship. Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 12. Observe the Sabbath day, to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 3. What was the primary reason for Moses' inability to enter the Promised Land, as mentioned in Deuteronomy? A. Old age. B. Lack of faith. C. Disobedience to God's command. D. Illness. Right answer is C. Disobedience to God's command. The primary reason for Moses' inability to enter the Promised Land was disobedience to God's command. Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 51-52. Because you trespassed against me among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because you did not hallow me in the midst of the children of Israel. Yet you shall see the land before you, though you shall not go there, into the land which I am giving to the children of Israel. 4. What is the Shema, as mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy? A. A prayer for forgiveness. B. The central confession of faith. C. A ritual sacrifice. D. A prophetic utterance. Right answer is B. The central confession of faith. The Shema in the book of Deuteronomy is the central confession of faith. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 4. Hear, O Israel. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. 5. What blessings and curses did Moses set before the Israelites in the book of Deuteronomy? A. Blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. B. Blessings for the firstborn and curses for the youngest. C. Blessings for the wealthy and curses for the poor. D. Blessings for priests and curses for the common people. Right answer is A. Blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. Moses set blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience before the Israelites. Deuteronomy chapter 11 verses 26-28. Behold, I set before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you today, and the curse, if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God. 6. According to the dietary laws in Deuteronomy, which animals are considered clean for consumption? A. Pigs and camels. B. Cows and goats. C. Fish with fins and scales. D. Birds of prey. Right answer is C. Fish with fins and scales. According to the dietary laws in Deuteronomy, fish with fins and scales are considered clean for consumption. Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 9. These you may eat of all that are in the waters. You may eat all that have fins and scales. 7. What important event does the book of Deuteronomy recount as a significant part of Israel's history? A. The Exodus from Egypt. B. The construction of the tabernacle. C. The conquest of Jericho. D. The giving of the law at Mount Sinai. Right answer is D. The giving of the law at Mount Sinai. The book of Deuteronomy recounts the giving of the law at Mount Sinai as a significant part of Israel's history. Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 13. So he declared to you his covenant which he commanded you to perform, the 10 Commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. 8. What does the term, Deuteronomy, mean in its literal sense? A. Second law. B. Holy covenant. C. Sacred journey. D. Book of history. Right answer is a second law. The term, Deuteronomy, means second law in its literal sense. It is derived from the Greek words, deuteros, second, and nomos, law. 9. According to the book of Deuteronomy, what is the greatest commandment? A. Honor your parents. B. Keep the Sabbath holy. C. Love the Lord your God. D. Do not commit adultery. Right answer is C. Love the Lord your God. According to the book of Deuteronomy, the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. 10. What is the significance of the cities of refuge mentioned in Deuteronomy? A. Centers of trade and commerce. B. Safe havens for accidental killers. C. Military strongholds. D. Worship centers. Right answer is B. Safe havens for accidental killers. The cities of refuge mentioned in Deuteronomy served as safe havens for accidental killers. Deuteronomy chapter 19 verse 4-5. And this is the case of the manslayer who flees there, that he may live. Whoever kills his neighbor unintentionally, not having hated him in time past. As when a man goes to the woods with his neighbor to cut timber, and his hand swings a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the handle and strikes his neighbor so that he dies a euro. He shall flee to one of these cities and live. 11. What ceremony did Moses instruct the Israelites to observe when they entered the Promised Land, as mentioned in Deuteronomy? A. Circumcision. B. Passover. C. Feast of Tabernacles. D. Reading of the law. Right answer is D. Reading of the law. Moses instructed the Israelites to observe the ceremony of reading the law when they entered the Promised Land. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 11-12. When all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God in the place which he chooses, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. 12. In Deuteronomy, what did Moses emphasize as the key to a blessed life in the Promised Land? A. Wealth and prosperity. B. Obedience to God's commandments. C. Military strength. D. Alliance with neighboring nations. Right answer is B. Obedience to God's commandments. In Deuteronomy, Moses emphasized obedience to God's commandments as the key to a blessed life in the Promised Land. Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 16, "In that I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, his statutes, and his judgments, that you may live and multiply. And the Lord your God will bless you in the land which you go to possess." 13. What does the book of Deuteronomy emphasize regarding God's character? A. His wrath and judgment. B. His mercy and faithfulness. C. His distance from humanity. D. His indifference to human affairs. Right answer is B. His mercy and faithfulness. The book of Deuteronomy emphasizes God's mercy and faithfulness. Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 9. "Therefore know that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God who keeps covenant and mercy for 1,000 generations with those who love him and keep his commandments." 14. Who succeeded Moses as the leader of the Israelites, according to the book of Deuteronomy? A. Joshua. B. Aaron. C. Caleb. D. Gideon. Right answer is A. Joshua. According to the book of Deuteronomy, Joshua succeeded Moses as the leader of the Israelites. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 14. "Then the Lord said to Moses, Behold, the days approach when you must die. Call Joshua, and present yourselves in the tabernacle of meeting, that I may inaugurate him." 15. What did Moses stress as the foundation of Israel's relationship with God in the book of Deuteronomy? A. Ritual sacrifices. B. Circumcision. C. Heartfelt obedience and love. D. Building grand temples. Right answer is C. Heartfelt obedience and love. Moses stressed heartfelt obedience and love as the foundation of Israel's relationship with God in the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 12. "And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? But to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways and to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul." 16. What did Moses instruct the Israelites to do in terms of their children's education in Deuteronomy? A. Send them to neighboring nations for education. B. Establish a national education system. C. Teach them diligently about God's commandments. D. Focus solely on practical skills. Right answer is C. Teach them diligently about God's commandments. Moses instructed the Israelites to teach their children diligently about God's commandments. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 7. "You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up." 17. According to Deuteronomy, what was the purpose of the tithe that the Israelites were required to give? A. Support the monarchy. B. Fund military campaigns. C. Provide for the Levites and the poor. D. Build grand temples. Right answer is C. Provide for the Levites and the poor. According to Deuteronomy, the purpose of the tithe was to provide for the Levites and the poor. Deuteronomy chapter 14 verses 28 to 29. "At the end of every third year you shall bring out the tithe of your produce of that year and store it up within your gates. And the Levite, because he has no portion nor inheritance with you, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow who are within your gates may come and eat and be satisfied, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. 18. What did Moses stress about the nature of God in the book of Deuteronomy? A. His impatience with human shortcomings. B. His distance from human affairs. C. His sovereignty and justice. D. His unpredictability. Right answer is C. His sovereignty and justice. Moses stressed the sovereignty and justice of God in the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 4. He is the rock, his work is perfect. For all his ways are justice, a God of truth and without injustice. Righteous and upright is he. 19. What festival is associated with the remembrance of God's provision during the wilderness journey, as mentioned in Deuteronomy? A. Feast of Weeks, Pentecost. B. Passover. C. Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. D. Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. Right answer is C. Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. The Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, is associated with the remembrance of God's provision during the wilderness journey. Deuteronomy chapter 16 verses 13 to 15. You shall observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days, when you have gathered from your threshing floor and from your winepress. And you shall rejoice in your feast, because the Lord your God will bless you in all your produce and in all the work of your hands, so that you surely rejoice. 20. What did Moses foresee regarding the Israelites in the distant future, as mentioned in Deuteronomy? A. Eternal prosperity. B. Temporary exile and restoration. C. Continuous disobedience. D. Immediate conquest of all nations. Right answer is C. Continuous disobedience. Moses foresaw continuous disobedience among the Israelites in the distant future. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 29. For I know that after my death you will become utterly corrupt, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you. And evil will befall you in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. 21. According to Deuteronomy, what was the role of the judges appointed by Moses? A. Collect taxes. B. Enforce religious rituals. C. Administer justice and settle disputes. D. Lead military campaigns. Right answer is C. Administer justice and settle disputes. According to Deuteronomy, the role of the judges appointed by Moses was to administer justice and settle disputes. Deuteronomy chapter 16 verse 18. You shall appoint judges and officers in all your gates, which the Lord your God gives you, according to your tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. 22. What did Moses emphasize as the source of Israel's prosperity and success in the Promised Land? A. Strong military alliances. B. Abundant natural resources. C. Faithfulness to God's commandments. D. Skillful economic policies. Right answer is C. Faithfulness to God's commandments. Moses emphasized faithfulness to God's commandments as the source of Israel's prosperity and success in the Promised Land. Deuteronomy chapter 29 verse 9. Therefore keep the words of this covenant, and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. 23. What ceremony did Moses instruct the Israelites to observe when they entered the Promised Land, as mentioned in Deuteronomy? A. Circumcision. B. Passover. C. Feast of Tabernacles. D. Reading of the Law. Right answer is D. Reading of the Law. Moses instructed the Israelites to observe the ceremony of reading the law when they entered the Promised Land. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 11-12. When all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God in the place which he chooses, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. 24. According to Deuteronomy, what is the significance of the cities of refuge? A. Centers of trade and commerce. B. Safe havens for accidental killers. C. Military strongholds. D. Worship centers. Right answer is B. Safe havens for accidental killers. The cities of refuge mentioned in Deuteronomy served as safe havens for accidental killers. Deuteronomy chapter 19 verse 4-5. And this is the case of the manslayer who flees there, that he may live. Whoever kills his neighbor unintentionally, not having hated him in time past. As when a man goes to the woods with his neighbor to cut timber, and his hand swings a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the handle and strikes his neighbor so that he dies a euro. He shall flee to one of these cities and live.